In the previous video, I discussed diabetic-friendly fruits, specifically focusing on the skin of apples. Apple skin is rich in fiber and antioxidants, which are especially beneficial for diabetics. Many people wonder whether it's safe to eat fruits with their skins, mainly because of concerns about pesticide residues. Let me clear up those worries. I've done extensive research, reading various studies, and I can confidently say that the concern about pesticide residues is not as big of an issue as many believe. While it's true that pesticides are used on fruits and vegetables, they typically don't pose a significant risk when consumed in moderation. Pesticides are diluted when sprayed on crops and are only present in small amounts on the surface. Most of the pesticides are washed away during the distribution process, and studies from the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety show that the majority of fruits and vegetables sold are well within the safety limits for pesticide residues. In fact, over 99% of agricultural products tested, including fruits, have pesticide levels below the safety threshold. For example, in 2023, when 320 agricultural products, including carrots, were tested for residual pesticides, 100% of them had pesticide levels within safe limits. The amount of pesticide that remains on produce is so minimal that even if you eat fruits and vegetables every day, it won't harm your health. The standard for pesticide residues is set so low that it's virtually impossible to reach harmful levels through normal consumption. In addition, the process of washing and peeling fruits helps remove most of the pesticide residues. For instance, bananas and apples have pesticide residues removed by about 100% and 98%, respectively. Peaches and other fruits also show significant reductions in pesticide levels when washed or peeled. When it comes to vegetables, cooking can also help remove pesticides. For example, eggplant and lettuce showed a high removal rate of about 76% after washing and cooking. Even simple methods like blanching or stir-frying can remove a large portion of any remaining pesticide residues. You might be wondering why it's important to wash off pesticides, especially since many of us are told to eat fruit skins for their health benefits. But let's take a moment to talk about how to wash produce properly to remove pesticides more effectively, and what to do if you want to eat your fruits and vegetables raw, like in fresh veggie wraps. First, knowing how to wash fruits and vegetables can help you remove pesticides more thoroughly. While it's often recommended to eat the skin for its nutrients, it's also essential to wash the produce properly to minimize any pesticide residues. After all, research shows that even trace amounts of pesticides can be concerning, especially when consumed regularly. Recently, scientific advancements have made it possible to detect even the smallest traces of pesticides on the surface of produce. For example, new Raman imaging technology, which is a promising nanotechnology, has been developed to detect minute amounts of chemicals. This means that in the future, even the tiniest pesticide residues could be detected on the surface of apples and other produce, which wasn't possible before. While these scientific advancements are impressive, they also highlight how important it is to be cautious about pesticide exposure. Even if we can't always see or feel the pesticides, they can still be present, and consuming them over time may be harmful. So, what can we do to ensure our food is clean? The good news is that there are effective ways to wash vegetables and fruits to remove pesticides. I'll explain those methods in the next section. By following the right techniques, you can enjoy your fruits and veggies with peace of mind, whether you're eating them raw or cooked. When it comes to washing off pesticides, there are two main questions that come up. Should you soak your produce in water? And is tap water the best option, or should you use something like baking soda, vinegar, or a special cleaning solution? Let's break it down. First, let's look at the experiments conducted by the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety. They conducted a study on how to wash carrots, testing soaking in water versus running water. This experiment is available on YouTube, and I'll leave a link to the video so you can check it out for yourself. The experiment involved intentionally applying pesticides to the carrots and then testing various washing methods. Here's what they did. They soaked the carrots in water for 1 minute and then poured out the water, repeating the process with fresh water for 30 seconds while shaking the carrots by hand. On the other hand, they also washed the carrots under running water for a similar amount of time. The results showed that soaking carrots in water removed about 60 to 80% of the pesticide residue. Interestingly, soaking the carrots in water was more effective at cleaning them than washing them under running water. The reason soaking works better is that when you run water over produce, it may not cover all the surfaces evenly. Soaking allows the water to reach every part, including areas that running water might miss, especially when dealing with water-soluble pesticides. In fact, soaking vegetables like perilla leaves for 5 minutes in carrot water removed up to 80% of pesticides. Now, when it comes to washing liquids, the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety tested tap water, 1% vinegar, and 1% cow's milk. They found that the difference in effectiveness was very small, around a 1 to 2% difference, meaning that tap water was just as effective as any other washing liquid. So, there's no need to worry about using anything other than tap water for most fruits and vegetables. However, soaking perilla leaves for 5 minutes in tap water showed an even better result, removing 80% of the pesticide residue. If you only soak them for a minute, it will be less effective. There are other studies that mention using salt water or vinegar, but the overall takeaway is that soaking produce in water for a few minutes is the most effective method. While detergents can be helpful, it's clear that soaking in water, especially carrot water, works really well for removing pesticides. To wash fruit properly, start by removing the stems from strawberries before washing them, as leaving them on can increase the risk of E. coli contamination. For grapes, the white powder is sugar, not pesticides, but a quick rinse is still a good idea. Apples should be wiped or rinsed with water, and the stems should be removed to avoid pesticide concentration. Carrots should be soaked in water for 1 minute and rinsed for 30 seconds. For tougher pesticide removal, especially on apples, baking soda is effective. Simply soak apples in a baking soda solution, which breaks down pesticides better than water alone. Soaking for 1 to 5 minutes improves cleaning results. To effectively clean fruits and vegetables, especially those like perilla leaves and lettuce, it's important to follow proper washing techniques. The Ministry of Food and Drug Safety in Korea recommends separating and soaking leafy greens in water for about 5 minutes. After soaking, rinse them with running water for at least 30 seconds to ensure that any remaining pesticide residues are thoroughly washed away. Research from 2009 showed that soaking perilla leaves in a flour solution, 3% flour to 1 liter of water, can be particularly effective in removing pesticides. The starch in the flour helps to adsorb and remove pesticide residues, making it a reliable cleaning solution. This method works well because the wrinkles and creases in perilla leaves trap pesticide particles, and the flour's starch binds to them, allowing for better removal. If you decide to use this method, it's important to soak the leaves for a minimum of 3 minutes for the best results. Another study from 2022 on lettuce showed that rice vinegar and rice water also performed well in removing pesticides. The mechanism behind these two solutions is similar to that of the flour solution, as both contain starch, which helps break down pesticide residues. These natural detergents are an excellent alternative to harsh chemicals, especially for those looking to avoid artificial cleaning agents. For both perilla leaves and lettuce, soaking in rice water or a flour solution before rinsing them in running water can significantly improve the removal of pesticides. If you're concerned about how these cleaning methods might affect the taste or texture of your vegetables, rest assured that they are safe and effective, and they don't negatively impact the quality of the produce. When it comes to cleaning perilla leaves and other vegetables, there are many questions about potential contaminants, such as microscopic parasites and pesticides. Some people express concerns about the presence of microscopic parasites on perilla leaves, but let's address that briefly. Yes, there is a possibility that microscopic parasites could be found on perilla leaves. These parasites are typically single-celled organisms, like spore-forming worms, that can be harmful to humans. However, the likelihood of encountering such parasites in perilla leaves is very low in most cases. The main route of contamination would be through water that is contaminated with aquatic pollutants. Therefore, the best way to prevent exposure is to wash vegetables thoroughly before consumption. In fact, studies have shown that washing fruits and vegetables in clean water can significantly reduce the presence of these microscopic parasites. For example, a Norwegian study demonstrated that washing blueberries removed 97% of parasites, and raspberries were 84% cleaner after washing. Even if parasites are ingested, they typically cause mild symptoms like diarrhea, which usually resolves on its own within a week. Regarding the common concerns about pesticides, it's important to wash perilla leaves and other produce properly to reduce pesticide residues. While some videos on YouTube may cause unnecessary concern about floating microparasites, there is no need to panic. A thorough wash with clean water is usually sufficient to eliminate most contaminants. There's also the question of which cleaning agents to use. While some studies suggest that rice water and flour solutions can be effective in removing pesticides, research in Korea has shown that tap water alone can be highly effective for cleaning perilla leaves and lettuce. However, there is some debate, as another study in 2022 from Gwangju Health and Environment Research Institute suggested that detergents, when used correctly, might also be effective in removing pesticides. They found that tap water was the most effective cleaning method in their study, with detergents coming last. If you prefer using a detergent, the key is to use it properly. Dishwashing detergents can be used to clean fruits and vegetables, but they should be diluted correctly. A typical recommendation is to use about 1 teaspoon of detergent per 2 liters of water. Soak the produce for no more than 5 minutes, then rinse it thoroughly under running water for at least 30 seconds to ensure that any detergent residue is removed. Microscopic parasites and perilla leaves for diabetes. Perilla leaves are excellent for managing diabetes quickly. However, as I mentioned earlier, there are pesticides on perilla leaves, and there are concerns about microscopic parasites. Many people have commented about this, so today I want to address it. If we focus too much on parasites, the discussion might go off track, so I'll keep it brief. The main question is it possible that perilla leaves contain microscopic parasites? Yes, it is possible. There are microscopic organisms, specifically spore-forming worms, that could be present in perilla leaves. These single-celled organisms can be harmful to humans, but don't panic. In Korea, this is not something to worry about, but it's important to understand the potential risks. However, here's the bottom line: you really don't need to worry. When it comes to perilla leaves, the most important point is that any potential spores or parasites would likely be waterborne, not directly on the leaves. Contaminated water is the primary risk. So, the solution? Just wash your vegetables thoroughly. According to a Norwegian study, washing blueberries removed 97% of parasites, and raspberries saw an 84% removal rate. If you were to accidentally ingest these microscopic parasites, most people won't experience symptoms. In fact, even if there are mild symptoms like diarrhea, they usually pass within a week, and the body eliminates them naturally. So, it's not like these parasites will stick around long term. A lot of the videos and claims you see online about floating microscopic parasites are likely exaggerated. I don't think you need to worry about that at all. Now, to briefly address some common concerns, if you're worried about pesticides, they are typically water-soluble, so washing with water is the key. Research shows that washing perilla leaves with water can reduce pesticide residues effectively. If you want to go further, adding flour or rice water could help even more. Regarding detergent-based washing methods, there are different opinions. A study from the Gwangju Health and Environment Research Institute in 2022 found that tap water was the most effective for washing vegetables, while detergent came last. The Ministry of Food and Drug Safety recommends not using detergent on perilla leaves and other leafy vegetables. However, some experiments show that detergent might be useful in some cases for washing certain fruits and vegetables. Just make sure to choose the right type of detergent and don't soak your produce for too long. The proper way to use detergent is to dilute it correctly, soak the vegetables for about 5 minutes, and then rinse thoroughly under running water. For vegetables like green onions, most pesticides are concentrated on the outer layers of the stems. Just peel away the outer leaves before washing them. With cabbage, you can remove the outer leaves, which contain the most pesticides, and the inner leaves are safe to eat. As for cucumbers and peppers, they can be tricky because they often have pesticide residues on the skin. To clean them, scrub with a sponge and rinse under water. If you're still concerned, you can rub them with salt to remove more pesticides. When washing broccoli, which can be complicated due to its flower structure, soak the florets in water for a couple of minutes. This allows impurities to rise to the surface. Afterward, rinse and shake the florets to remove any remaining dirt.